Wood doesn't breathe because it doesn't have lungs. Hey everybody, this is Matt. We're at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for watching. So, we hear a lot of stuff about the finish that you use on your guitar, and it helps the wood breathe or whatever stuff. Today we're not going to talk about that. Today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about sanding Simtex EZ Sanding Sealer. And we use this product exclusively on all of our finishes, and we have used a bunch of other products in the past. We're not really going to talk about them and why we don't use them. We're going to talk about Simtex and why we do use it in this video. And I want to show you how quickly it should take for you to sand your guitar body after or between applications of Simtex Sealer. Okay, so this is one of our Challenger models with this is kind of a one-off. It's not a maple top hollow body, but it does have a Charlie Christian pickup route in it, as you can see. Guys, this Charlie Christian pickup is actually built by our buddy Pete Biltoff, and he builds them specifically to our dimensions, and we want it to be this old school looking thing here. Don't tell me about magnets or any of that shit like that. I got it. And the reason that it has these 3 holes here is because we think that it looks cool to have the adjustment holes look a little bit more like the old school one, okay? But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So we're going to be sanding this guitar, and one of the things I want to do is show you how we sand and the tools that we use and what you're going to need to sand your guitar if you're using Simtex Sealer. Again, this will probably work for some other stuff too, but this is what we use with Simtex. It works great for us. It'll work great for you too. If you use it with this product, if you use it with some other thing, your results may vary. Good enough? Okay. So this guitar has gone through, it was raw wood, and we sprayed it with Simtex Sanding Sealer once, and then we came back in about 3 hours or 4 hours and sprayed it again. So it's got 2 applications of Simtex Sealer. Now, it's not all the way sealed up. What you want to do when you get this out and you're fixing to sand it is look over everything and you go, well, you know what? The top looks like it might have enough, or the back looks like it might, or the neck might. But where you really need to look is the end grain. And I don't know, you guys can see it right there. The end grain kind of sucks this in, and it lays out a little differently. So we will be sanding this back. Actually, we're going to be sanding it way back, and we're going to be reapplying Simtex to this guitar to seal it all the way up. Now, the reason that you want to seal the guitar all the way up is because you want a smooth finish. With Simtex, let me answer a couple questions here. We do not use grain filler. You can use grain filler if you want, but we don't. We have tried it in the past. We liked the results, but the fact of the matter is, it's just so much easier to just spray Simtex than it is to fiddle about with grain filler. So that's the way we do it. I don't have any issues with grain filler. I just don't use them. Okay. So anyway, so we're going to put this into round 2. Now, I've answered a couple of questions before, and one of the reasons I'm making this video is because people say, well, I sprayed Simtex Sealer and it's thicker than lacquer, or I sprayed lacquer sanding sealer and it's better because it's thinner. Well, you can't really say one is better than the other because the application of spraying it is thinner or thicker. Remember, we're going to be sanding this. In fact, we're going to be sanding this guy way, way back. In many cases, we're actually going to go to bare wood on this first round, and we're going to reapply later on, and then we're going to sand it again. So the idea is that you want this to be smooth and as thin as possible, and so if you do it right, it won't matter what material you use. What you want to do is, let me see, make sure I'm saying this right. Use enough material so that you can sand it all the way back and have the thinnest, smoothest finish you can get, okay? So whether you do that with Simtech or some other thing, I don't care. Again, we use Simtech. I don't know why I'm beating this into your heads, guys. You know we use Simtech. This is what we use. We're going to grind it way, way back, and I guarantee you the cumulative total of thickness of the finish with sealer and color and clear coats is going to be so thin that, it's going to be crazy, crazy thin, okay? All right. So the first thing you want to do is you want to look over your guitar before you start sanding and see where, because it's possible that you be all the way done. Some wood is different, you know what I mean? This one I can guarantee you is the end grain in there. It's not quite done yet, so we're gonna go to a second application, okay? We will be using a standard palm sander with a vacuum hookup. And for this, I'm going to be using 1 disc of 220 sandpaper. If I need to use this by hand later on, I'll get a block like this, and I'll use this piece of paper. Now, I see guys doing this all the time where they're like, if my 60 grit looked like that, that'd be fine, but this isn't 60, this is like 220. If my 60 grit looked like this, I'd be totally fine with it, but this is 320. This is 80, and this is I don't know what, and these all have one thing in common, and that is that they are dead. Stop using old crappy sandpaper. Use a new piece of sandpaper. You will spend more money on sandpaper, but you will spend less time sanding. I love that. Okay, so I've got my orbital sander, and I'm going to put my sanding disc on it. And I'm not going to speed this video up because I want you to see just how little time it should take you to do this. What we're going to do is we're going to smooth out as much as we humanly possibly can, and we're going to scuff back the rest. All right, so let me change the camera angle here, and let's get started. All right, we've got the body here, got our sander. I'm going to start the sander on the piece and stop the sander on the piece. Okay, what I don't want to do is lift my sander up like this or this or this or this, because I'll dig a crescent into the body. If you need to go off the body without turning the sander off for some reason, I like to go all the way off like that, or you can sometimes come all the way on. I'm going to try to remember to start the sander and stop the sander on the piece. Okay? All right, so I got my vacuum hooked up. Let's get down to business. Now remember, I'm not going to speed this video up. It's going to be, maybe I'll even add a timer, and I'm going to show you just how little time you should be spending on this task. All right, that's what you want it to look like. All the shiny spots are gone. There's actually one right here, but I'm not going to worry about that because I know this guy's getting a second round. I'm going to come back and I'm going to do this part by hand and this part by hand, and I can see already I've actually sanded through to bare wood right here. That's what I wanted to do because this is only the first coat, okay? And remember, we know we're doing a second coat. All right, once we get the top done, you can flip to the other side or you can do whatever side you want. I like to do the back next. All right, that's looking pretty good. There's a few patches here. There's a few little shiny spots. And one of the things we're gonna do before we put this back in the paint booth is we're gonna scuff this up with Scotch-Brite. Now, Scotch-Brite doesn't flatten anything out, but it does make all the shiny parts go away. So if you feel like you need to stop sanding with your sander and need to switch to an abrasive pad, that'll make all the shiny spots go away. But remember, it's not going to flatten it out. You need to sand until everything's flat, unless you just got a few little bits and you just scuff it back in preparation for the next coat. Okay, so I don't want to say that was the fun part, but that was definitely the easier part. Now we need to get the edges and the neck and the headstock, and well, let's do that now. I need to change the camera angle again. All right, that's about as much as I can get with my orbital sander. Now I'm going to just take that piece of sandpaper and just go through and level by hand all the stuff I couldn't get with the orbital. And again, I am not worried in the least little bit if I sand through to the wood, because I know that I'm going to have to add another course of sealer anyway. And since I sanded the 220 before, if I hit the actual wood part with 220, it ain't no thing. And if I do, I'm probably not going to alter the shape of the guitar body with 220. You know what I mean? I'm not sanding it that much. Really, I'm just scuffing it back. Okay. All right. You want to pay careful attention to right here. It's possible to dig a trough when you're using a block, okay, or a pad or whatever you happen to be using. You don't want to do that. Let's get the sides of my headstock here. Pretty good. This is a dirty job too, you guys. Sanding sealer is probably one of the least fun things that you do. In fact, it's so little fun, and the potential for damage is so small that I would imagine if you or I went to work at Paul Reed Smith today, the first thing that we would do, and for however many weeks, months, or years we worked there, we would probably be sanding sealer, because it's really hard to screw this part up. All you're doing is kind of scuffing it back. I don't know. I think, I want to say there's a guy who works at Paul Reed Smith, a painter there, who every so often watches our videos, or at least comments on our Instagram and stuff. So maybe he'll chime in and let me know either way. Okay, so I got most of it. Now I'm going to go back with my red Scotch-Brite. You can use gray if you want. And kind of just scuff all the other stuff back. Again, I'm not too worried about leveling all the way, because one, I know I'm not gonna. And two, I know it's not going to be level. I'm going to spray more of the sealer on here, and I want to make sure that the next time I sand, I can level all the way out and get a nice smooth finish. Okay, that's actually pretty close. I'm starting to see all the places that I burned through. And again, I'm not really that worried about it, because I know I'm going to have to do more. All right. Okay, couple patches right here I need to get. Come on now. All right, that's actually looking pretty decent. I'm going to take this over to the air compressor and blow it off, and wipe off all the crap and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I got the guitar all blown off, and I vacuumed up all the little bits of sanding sealer powder. I even got most of it off of my shirt, and I washed my hands. I took my paper towel that I used to dry my hands, and I tried to get as much of the powdery stuff off the guitar as possible so I could show you guys what it looks like. You certainly don't need to wipe off every little tiny speck of dust every single time you do this, but it doesn't hurt. And it gives you an idea, right? So again, I can see a few little tiny flecks. The back has sealed up pretty well. I don't have a bunch of sand throughs on the back. The front, I've got a sand through right here, and I've got a sand through right on the corner of my my cutaway. Now everywhere else is pretty nice and sealed up. Now everywhere else on the guitar though, top and back, there's a buttload of sand throughs. There's one here, there's one there, there's one there, there's one there, there's one there, a couple there, a little bit there, big one right here, a little bit right here. Back of the neck looks pretty good, but volute area, back of the headstock, some of the neck, there's right at the tip here. Some of that is my sanding style. I was using the palm sander, but some of it is just the sealer is really thin there, and it soaks up into the wood differently depending on end grain versus not end grain. But this guitar is now ready for its second application of sealer, and it is we will sand that one back as well. However, when we do this, when we sand the second round, we generally start with 320. We might do 220 on the top and back because it's just so much easier to get to. But yeah, but again, I'm not really too worried about those little burn throughs. Didn't alter the shape of the guitar at all, and it's ready for its next application of sealer. So guys, if you like this video, give me the thumbs up. If you haven't clicked the subscribe button yet, please do so. It's free and it helps grow our channel. If you appreciate the content that we put out, absolutely free of charge with no paywall, and you want to support us with a little bit of monetary compensation, you might want to consider going over to our Patreon page and consider becoming a member, or just signing up on YouTube. That helps us out quite a bit too. But if you can't do it, no big deal. No paywall to watch these videos. Like and share the video and help us grow our channel that way. So until next time, this is Matt at Texas Toast reminding you that if you're so smart, start your own YouTube channel. That's what I did. We'll see you next time, guys. Have a great day.